Howdy-ho, Andrew, aka Kelpier, aka Shadowson here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Tales of Neverwinter Nights. So, we're going to rehash a couple stories that I had already recorded a number of months back, but as I'm doing these in chronological order, it's Drathson's time. Enter Drathson. This is when he joined the guild, and these were his first two posts into this. So you've seen the grow to this point, and now we got two stories from Drathson for this week. So hopefully I can read them better than when I did them originally. Reading, I'm a very good reader, okay, but I'm not a very good reader out loud, or at least I don't think I am. I've actually gotten some compliments thrown my way, which I greatly appreciate. People like, thank you, but I'm very critical of myself. So I look back at the reading I did for my own writing or for Drathson, and I just wasn't happy with it, so we're going to redo it. But as I said, we're redoing it because this is where his stories fall in the chronological order of all the different RP stories Maverlin has saved all these many years. So just a walk down memory lane. Drathson, who was a very good friend of mine, actually, Richard was his real name. He was a COPPA police officer out in Victoria, Canada, and then he moved later to Toronto and became I'm not sure if he was a Toronto police or if he was Ontario police, but that was his career path. And that's where I lost touch with him, as when he moved out to Toronto. But he was a friend of mine throughout all of Neverwinter Nights and for many years afterwards until we lost touch. And I first met him in Crusaders of the Realms Core as Firebade, and he joined Temple of Loth and became the house assassin for Maverlin's Drow house. And then he brought me in. He told me how much fun he was having, and he brought me in as Shadowson, and I became the house wizard. So this is him introducing himself into the guild. Silent Vigil by Drathson Dialanar. His silent footfalls could not be heard by any as Drathson quickly moved through the house. He searched the shadows with his keen eyes, going from room to room. He had taken on many duties since the ceremony for which none knew. Since that night, he had been traveling the halls, making sure the house was safe and secure, for he knew that the Mala Yilhara was soon to give birth. He silently would check the house until he ended up at Maverlin's room, where he would settle in beside the door in the shadows and stand vigil. Drath wished to see this birth go well. He had vowed already to guard the birthing, and he would do so with his life. But he had special interests also. He hoped that he would be bestowed the honor of guarding the first daughter. He hoped his wish would be answered as he sat quietly watching and listening. So silently his vigil continued as he waited for the birth. As he waited, he remembered. Finding Rillivan by Drathson. It had been a year since he had last seen his home and life in the dark city of Arundel. He had set out with others on a patrol to the surface to gather information on a town. As they entered the first light of the surface world, they were set upon by hired mercenaries. Sorely outnumbered, the Drow were destroyed save one. Drathson had fallen in battle, suffered great injuries, and left for dead. Conscious returning briefly, Drath hid and nursed himself back to health. Ashamed for living, he could not return to Arundel. Over the year since he had left the massacre, he hunted down the mercenaries one by one, until only 5 were left. He strode into the camp as 5 men exchanged stories by the fire. The first of the men looked up and gestured to the others to look. They turned to face the stranger. The shadow of night hid his features as he pulled his hood down and spoke. You 5 are the last of my shame. It is now time to finish what was started a year ago. The leader of the band pulled his sword and bellowed for his men to attack. The first man saw the stranger move his cloak to the side, but did not have time to register what was held. A crossbow bolt spouted from his eye as he tumbled back. The next man took a second bolt to the groin and crumpled to the ground in a heap. The stranger gently tossed the crossbow away as he unfastened the thong of his cloak and jumped back, drawing 2 black knives. His grin was wicked as he watched the men's uncertainty. The two looked to their leader for instruction. As the leader bellowed for them to attack, a knife appeared in the stomach of both. The stranger slowly straightened and smiled to the leader. The man turned and ran. He had just about made it to the trees when he went down, struck from behind. He slowly tried to rise from the ground, wondering if the stranger had thrown a rock, as he fell twitching to the ground. The stranger walked over to his cloak and picked it up, patting off the dirt it had collected. Before refastening its thongs, he walked to the bodies and collected his 3 knives and cleaned them. He walked to the wounded one and looked down, asking the injured man for information about their newest assignment. As the last mercenary begged for mercy, Drath slit the man's throat with a smile. He wiped his last knife on a now dead man's cloak and smiled again. Yes, he had done well for himself, for he had heard of the city of Rillaven, a city of drow. It had been a long time since he had been with his people, and now he had found them again. And that's where I'm going to stop this week, because the next 3 stories are all by the same writer and they're all together. So I didn't want to go off of Drath's 2 stories and then read one of the new ones. I'd rather keep those 3 together. So this is a shorter video, but that's how Drath came to be with Marvelin, or at least come to the city. And Drath played an assassin very well. Even to this day, when I play an assassin character, I loosely base it off of Drathson. Like I throw in my own tweaks and everything, you know, and my own personalities and everything. But a lot of the mannerisms and this gets me in trouble with D&D groups, because for some reason D&D groups love to think that rogues should be the front and should be the meat shield. It's like, no, rogues should be hiding behind everybody, hidden in the shadows. I have a real problem with some of the D&D groups I've played with over the years, where they think, oh, well, you're a rogue because you got to check for traps because that's your only duty. No, just because I have check for traps doesn't mean that's my only proficiency, and it doesn't mean that drives my character. So in a lot of ways, I look at Drathson and I'll pick up some of the mannerisms of his character when I'm forming a new rogue or assassin character for D&D. And yeah, so, you know, along the way, certain things influence you. And Drath definitely influenced me on how to play an assassin. So anyway, that was his introduction. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you liked the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders. And I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on Rumble, please follow my channel. I always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Not only does it get us interacting, it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.